Let's see if we can measure some of the interactions on this page, like adding this to our list and having these things appear. We want to make sure that that experience is as snappy as possible. So let's go to our book screen and we'll wrap everything in here in our profiler component. So here we'll import the profiler from components profiler. And then we'll say profiler and take this div all the way down to its bottom and save that. And we'll want to give this an ID to differentiate it from any other profilers. So we'll call this the book screen and we'll save that and come over here. And after 5 seconds, we should get a profile that sends a couple bits of information. So let's come down here and here we have the app root for the mount. And we also have one for the book screen mount and then a bunch for the update as React Query resolves the book information as well as our list item information. And then if we check this checkbox here, we'll get another profile that includes all of the renders that happened as a result of that interaction. Now, if we had one of these updates or a series of these updates that was really slow for some reason, there actually isn't a whole lot of information in here. It might be useful to give us a little bit more information because maybe there's a specific book or a specific list item that is particularly susceptible to performance problems, and we'd want to know what that is. And so I think it would be nice if my profiler could accept some metadata, and here we'll pass an object that has the metadata that we want associated with this profile. So we'll say book ID is one of the things that we want associated, and maybe the list item ID. And so then we'll take the list item, and if that doesn't exist, then we won't worry about it, but if it does, we'll grab the ID. Now, you always want to be responsible about the metadata that you send for monitoring things like this. You wouldn't want to include any sensitive or regulated information in this kind of metadata, so keep that in mind when you do something like this, but I think we'll be okay here. So then let's go back to our profiler and implement this metadata prop. So we'll accept that as metadata, and then in our report profile, we'll pass that along as part of the data that we include in our queue. So now we save that. And once we get that profile right about now, there we go, then we'll see we have metadata that includes the book ID, and it looks like there's no list item on this update, but then later, when that list item does finally load, it looks like it's right there, then we have that list item ID as well. So this just gives us a little bit more information to help us interpret these numbers and triage performance problems as they come in as our users are using our app. So in review, what we did to make all of this work is we decided we wanted to profile the book screen, and we also decided that the information we get for the updates on this book screen isn't quite enough to help us triage problems. So for our custom profiler component, we added a metadata prop that accepts some additional information to help us in the triage of these problems. And then we accepted that metadata and forwarded it along as part of what we push onto the queue, which ultimately will get sent to our profile endpoint of our backend.